Jordan didn't remember the drive home. He remembered starting at pulling out of the parking lot, checking his mirrors, adjusting the A key, but the next clear moment was him standing in his apartment doorway, keys dangling from the lock like he'd forgotten how to use them. He stepped inside, flicked on the lights, and felt the familiar heaviness of the room press into him. The apartment wasn't messy, not in the catastrophic sense, but it had the unmistakable signs of someone who'd given up on caring. A pile of clean laundry on the couch, still unfolded. Dishes in the sink soaking in cold, cloudy water. Unopened mail stacked on the counter. Half-finished coffee mugs scattered like he'd intended to wash them, but never did. The silence in the apartment was thick. It wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence that amplifies the thoughts you're trying to escape. Jordan dropped his bag and sat on the edge of the couch. His shoulders slumped under an invisible weight. He should eat. He should shower. He should rest. He should do something. But instead he sat, motionless. His phone buzzed in his pocket, jolting him. He pulled it out. "Ava, got home yet?" Jordan stared at the message. She'd never been one to hide her concern. Even when they were kids, she had this way of noticing things before anyone else did. Things he didn't think anyone could see. He typed, "Yeah, just got in." A quick response came. "Ava, long day?" Jordan hesitated. He could lie. He usually did. It was easier, cleaner, quieter. But he typed the truth before he could stop himself. Yeah, just that one word. Honest, small, but it felt like admitting too much. He expected Ava to launch into questions. Are you eating? Are you stressed? What happened? But instead she sent something simple. "Ava, want company?" Jordan blinked. His heart thudded once, heavy. He didn't know what he wanted. He didn't know how to want anything anymore. But the idea of being alone tonight felt like inviting his thoughts to consume him whole. Jordan's thumbs hovered over the keyboard. He almost typed, "No, I'm fine," out of habit. Instead, he wrote, "Yeah, if you want." 3 dots appeared instantly. "Ava, on my way." Jordan's stomach tightened, not in dread, but in something he couldn't name. Relief, maybe. Fear of being seen. Fear of not being seen enough. Everything tangled up. He looked around the apartment, suddenly aware of how lifeless it looked. He stood abruptly, scanned the mess, then sat back down because the idea of fixing it overwhelmed him. Let her see it. "Let someone see how tired you are," a voice whispered. It terrified him. It also felt like the only honest thing left. 15 minutes later, Ava knocked twice before letting herself in. "Jordan?" she called softly. He lifted a hand. "Living room." Ava stepped in, and just seeing her eased something in his chest. She still wore her scrubs from the clinic light blue, slightly wrinkled. Her hair was in a loose bun, wisps falling around her face. She looked tired, too, but in a different way, alive tired, still connected to the world. Her eyes scanned the room slowly, not judging, just observing. "Hey," she said gently. "Hey." She didn't comment on the state of the apartment. Didn't ask why the lights were dim or why Jordan looked like he'd been staring at nothing for an hour. Instead, she dropped into the armchair across from him, folded her legs under her, and leaned forward with that same steady presence she'd always had. "Tell me about your day," she said. Jordan let out a breath that sounded more like a laugh. It was normal, I guess, but Ava tilted her head. "Jordan, you're shaking." He looked down. His hands were trembling slightly. He hadn't even noticed. I didn't realize," he murmured. Ava stood and sat beside him on the couch, close enough to feel her warmth, but not close enough to overwhelm him. She didn't touch him. She knew better than to do that without permission. "Talk to me," she whispered. Jordan stared at his hands. "I don't know what's happening to me." Ava waited. Jordan's voice cracked when he spoke again. "Everything feels heavy, like I'm carrying something huge but can't see it. I wake up tired, I work tired, I go home tired. And I don't feel anything. I'm not sad. I'm not angry. I'm just empty." Ava's eyes softened. "How long has it been like this?" "A while," he said. "I didn't want to say anything because what?" His throat tightened. "Because I don't want to be a burden." Ava's expression cracked right down the middle. "Jordan," she said, her voice trembling, "you are not a burden. You never have been." He pressed his palms into his eyes. "I don't know how to believe that." Ava placed a gentle hand on his forearm, not pulling, not forcing, just there. "Then let me help you learn," she whispered. Jordan didn't move away. He wanted to. He didn't know how to accept comfort. He didn't know what to do with kindness when he felt he didn't deserve it, but he stayed. They sat like that for a while, quiet, breathing in sync. After some time, Ava looked around the apartment again. "When's the last time you ate a real meal?" Jordan shrugged. "I had coffee. That's not a meal. It had cream in it." Ava gave him a look that said she wasn't amused, but didn't have the energy to lecture him. "Do you want me to make something?" she asked. He shook his head. "You worked a full shift. You should rest." "I'll rest when you're okay." He laughed softly. "So, never?" Ava elbowed in gently. "Smart-ass." Jordan smiled, small, faint, but real before his face fell into something tired again. "Why now, though?" he whispered. "Why is everything falling apart now?" Ava leaned back. "Maybe because you've been holding it together for too long." He swallowed. "That felt too true. And maybe," she continued, "you finally hit the limit of doing life alone." Jordan blinked. "I'm not alone." Ava raised an eyebrow. "Jordan, you've been drowning quietly. No one knew except two people, and only because we pushed." He looked away. The truth stung. Ava lowered her voice. "You don't talk about things. You never have. You carry everything like it's your job." She paused, "and you shut me out. After everything we've been through, you still shut me out." Jordan's chest tightened. "I didn't mean to." Ava nodded slowly. "I know, but it still hurts." There it was, the thing unsaid. The history between them, the wound they both tiptoed around. Jordan exhaled shakily. "I just didn't want to weigh you down again." Ava's eyes shimmered. "You're not weighing me down. I choose to be here. I want to be here." He swallowed hard. A quiet stretch of air filled the room, one heavy with old regrets and fragile hope. Finally Ava whispered, "Can you try something for me?" Jordan nodded. "Can you try to tell me when you're not okay? Even if you think it's stupid or small?" Jordan hesitated, then gave the smallest nod. "That's all I ask," she said. A sudden vibration buzzed on the table. Jordan's phone, lighting up. He reached for it. "Marcus, just checking in. Did you make it home?" Ava leaned slightly to read the screen, then looked at Jordan. "He seems like a good guy." Jordan shrugged. "He's weird." "Weird how?" "He asks too many questions." Ava smirked. So? He cares, Jordan scoffed. He barely knows me. Sometimes that's how good people work. Jordan stared at the message, thumb hovering. For once, he didn't lie. Yeah, but I'm home now. Thanks for checking. A beat later. Any time, Marcus replied. Ava nudged him. See? You're not as alone as you think. Jordan leaned back into the couch, letting his eyes close for a moment. For the first time in months, he didn't feel entirely weightless or crushed. He felt held not enough to lift the heaviness, but enough to survive it. Ava watched him quietly, a small smile on her lips. Jordan, he hummed. You can fall apart with me, she whispered. I won't leave. And for the first time in a very long time, Jordan believed her.